What is up, Theta Mafia guys? I'm glad to have you here. Now, this video is going to be a special video for you guys, special for me, and it's going to be my investment journey for over nearly a decade of investing. And I'm going to go a little bit into the childhood, a little bit into the high school, and then we'll actually get into the story because I think some of that stuff that I'm going to tell you does play a little bit of part into the investment journey and how it's shaping my life, current path that I am on right now. Okay, so let's begin. So I remember when I was a child, I always had dreams of me, making it big, having a lot of money and stuff. My mom was poor. My dad, I would say, is middle class. They were divorced, right? And so I did most of my earlier years with my mother. And I always had a little entrepreneurial spirit with me. I remember times I would save up my Halloween candy, and we used to have vending machines at the police department and fire department that I grew up in. So I'd ride my bike all the way down there, buy up as much pop as I can, hopefully sell out a couple of the flavors that the neighborhood kids liked, and then I would come pedal back down here because everybody used to come over and jump on the trampoline when I was a kid, all the neighborhood kids. And so, then I'd be selling candy to them and this and that, and I was charging an extra quarter and stuff. And I was making a little bit of money, saying, and then tell a girl comes out here and she's like, well, what's stopping us from getting the pop ourselves down down at the thing? And I was like, well, it saves you the time, me trying to be an excellent salesman at like 7 years old. But, it was short lived and stuff. And I remember, always trying to mow and do stuff for my mom so she can pay me and stuff. So I would mow the grass and do all this at 7 years old, guys. The lines weren't perfect. I'm sure it was wavy, but I do whatever I can to just try to get an extra couple dollars. And I was a saver. I was a saver, and a saver from the beginning. And so that was a little bit of my dream and the vision of where it really started, the birthplace of it all. I wanted to be wealthy. I wanted to be rich. I saw the vision. I was like, one day I will be. And thank God we didn't have Andrew Tate back then at that point, because I'll be walking around here at 7 years old asking adults, what color is your Bugatti, and calling them brokies, which probably maybe for some adults will be good motivation. But there's just a little joke. But anyway, and then we skipped down a few more years, and I was probably like 8 or 9 years old. And my grandma, for Christmas one year, she gave me a slip. And this was, guys, a throwback to my my 90s babies and stuff. And she gave me a slip for Toys R Us, and it had like $100 on there, gift card. And I was like, oh, I want to save this. My grandma was like, you can't save it because it expires next year, so you're gonna have to spend it. She's like, I want you to spend all this money when we go to Toys R Us, because I just had a natural inclination of just like, no, I need to save. I need to save. I need to save. I need to save. She's like, no, you're going to spend this year. You're going to spend this $100 this year. And shout out to my grandma, shout out to my mom and my father, all of them, my uncles and my aunts. Love every single one. They all played a part, even if they didn't give me actual lessons. Visually, I learned a lot from them. You know what I'm saying? Just by how they do and what they do. Now, so we go to Toys R Us, and my grandma was like, you have to save all this money, you have to spend this gift card, Kane. And so I started getting the Legos, and I started getting the Bakugan. Remember the Bakugan? You had the little balls, and you put it on a card, the magnetic card, and it sprung up. And I was like, oh, that's gangster. And I got the remember the helicopter and stuff. It's kind of like a drone in a way, but it was a helicopter, and you had the remote, and it just flew up, flew down, flew left, flew right. It's kind of cool. And I was just buying all this stuff, guys. And I got to the point, I was like, Grandma, did I run out of money? She's like, nope, you got $40 left. I was like, $40 left? Man, I was loving it. I was like, okay, let's buy this, let's buy that, let's do this, let's do that. You know what I'm saying? And finally, I got to zero. And that was probably one of my favorite Christmases. Not because I got a whole bunch of stuff. My grandma made me spend my money. The money that she gave me. But it taught me the value of the dollar, and it taught me not only the value of the dollar but buying power of the dollar. And so I was like, okay, now I wish from a young age I knew about the stock market and this and that, because I'd just tell somebody, hey, put all my money in the SP 500, and I forget about it. But I didn't. Um, and so during that time, as I got older and older, I would try to do things, help around the house or do something, or, you know, help do some landscaping and stuff like that to earn some money. $20 here, $40 there, $10 here, umpiring, doing whatever, and a couple games, and doing whatever I can to get some, just some money. And I got to the point where it was my sophomore year in high school, and this is a funny story, and I also feel bad about what I said, but it was my sophomore year in high school, and my father um, used to handle my bank account because I was a sophomore still, and I had a bank account where he worked at. And so he would deposit my checks for me, my cash for me into my bank account. And I had like $3,500 something dollars in my savings. I had like $500 something dollars in my checking. And so when he got home from work, because he worked thirds at the time, so when he got home from work, we were going to school, right? And I was like, thanks, Dad. I put it in my pocket, kind of forgot about it. And I always kept my pens and my pencils in my pocket, my jean pockets, because, you know, I just had the habit of putting them in there and pulling them out when I need to use it. And it was in biology class. I was a sophomore, and Angelina Carpenter was sitting right next to me. Shout out to Angelina if you're watching this. Um, I think it was her or another girl that picked up my thing, because when I grabbed my pencil, the slip fell out. And if it was her, I don't know if she remembers this or not, or if it was another girl that picked up my slip, and she was like, "Oh, $3,500 in savings and like 500 something dollars in checking." And I was embarrassed. I was extremely embarrassed, guys, because I didn't think that was a lot of money. And so I was just like, oh, shoot. She just announced it to the whole class, and I was embarrassed. And everybody, had the opposite reaction. They were like, wow, Kane, that's a lot of money. How do you have all that money? And my, trying to be a class clown, trying to be funny and stuff, is because little Andrew Tate moment, because I don't want to be broke like the rest of you. And my teacher, she started cracking up laughing. My biology teacher, shout out to her. She was cracking up laughing and stuff, and it was just showing you the dynamics of how I was. Yeah, Lord forgive me, in high school. And so that kind of showed you the inclination that I had when I was young. A saver. I learned the value of the dollar from an early age from my grandma. My mom was poor, so and a couple other family members were poor, and I kind of see how they were. And then a couple other family members I had, like my dad and my uncle, they were middle class, and my grandma, she was lower, I would say lower middle class and stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that, guys. There's nothing wrong with any of them. I learned lessons from all of them throughout my whole entire life. Everybody, you know, um, I seen certain people, certain family members have spending problems, and they, even though they made a lot of money, they were spending a lot of money. And I seen, case by case. And so me observing and seeing all this, I was like, okay, do that, but don't do this, do that and don't do this. And so that's what I'm saying. Shout out to all my family members and friends and everybody, because they all taught me something, what to do and what not to do. And so it gets me to my senior year. Here's a picture of me and my friends during graduation. Shout out to them. And, there's that. And I'll show you guys pictures during my whole entire journey on certain things. And so during that time, my dad wanted me to be an engineer at Honda. That was his dream, and that's what he wanted me to do. And so I was going through two colleges during my senior year. I was going to Rhodes, and then I was also going to Edison. I was going to school full time, right, and with my college classes, and then I was also working full time at my first factory job that was right across the street from my high school. which was called Emerson. Um, and guys, I would do my 7, 8 hours or 6 hours at school, however long it was. It was school full time. So, and then right after school, I would go straight to work, and I would work all the way till 1:30, 2 a.m. in the morning. And then I would get home in the morning, take a shower, finish whatever schoolwork I had. I want to go to bed till like maybe 2:30 or 3 a.m. in the morning. And then here I am waking up, at 5:30 ready to go to school. And so that was my life for pretty much, you know, my senior year, you know what I'm saying? And after that, after graduating high school, I decided to go to Edison to get that electromechanical engineering technology degree so I can get enrolled to the Honda program to be an engineer because I was still living with my father at the time. Me and my father had a falling out, still decided to go through the program and stuff, still decided to go through college. But I moved in with my grandma at the time. And then I got to the realization of like, this isn't my dream. This isn't what Kane wants to do. This is what Kane's father wants to do. And so I made the decision of dropping out of college. And when I did that, I was like, man, it was scary, guys, because, everybody tells you, oh, if you don't go to college, basically you're not going to be anything. And they're like, oh, you have to go to college because you want to get a good job and you want to get a degree and you want to make a lot of money. And the only way you can do those things is if you go to college. And so we're kind of brainwashed into the belief that if you don't go to college, you're not going to be anything. And so because school was never my thing. And the funny thing was I used to negotiate my grades in high school with my teachers. Like, if I do this for you and that for you, will you pass me with the A or B for the year? And some of them would take the bait, and I would do the things, and I would piss off my dad because he found out later, like, oh, you just negotiated your grades. Well, that should show you how good I am at business. But going back to the story and stuff, I was just like, school just wasn't for me, and so I'd made the conscious decision of just dropping out. But before I did, I was like, rich people, I know every rich person does not go to college. So I typed in YouTube, what does rich people do to get rich? And that's when I learned about investments, real estate investing, stock market. I learned about bonds. And then shout out to my grandma again and my great grandma Gigi, because they bought some bonds for me for my Christmas and my birthday, and I didn't even know about it. And I still have them till this day, the bonds, right? Because they're still maturing. But I was like, oh, thank you. You know what I'm saying? Another valuable lesson my grandma gave me, invest. And my Gigi. And so, I still have them bonds and stuff, but I started getting into the stock market because the real estate was kind of a little bit too scary for me. It's like me owning a property and then having tenants at 18, you know what I'm saying? I still got to build up money to buy a property, you know what I'm saying? I started with investing. And then this is the beginning of the actual investment journey video, guys. I'm sorry this video may be long. So I started out with Acorns, and I would do the roundup, on every transaction to the nearest dollar. And then I was putting $5 in and then $10 in, a week and stuff. And then it got to the point where I was like, I kept on looking at my returns, and I don't know what type of market cycle we were in 2017, but I was just like, dude, I haven't made no money at all. And actually, I've been losing money. And I was like, man, I don't like Acorns. So I finally found out what Robinhood was. Here's a picture of me getting started in Robinhood in December of 2017. Here's a picture of me depositing money into Robinhood. I started out with $220 in November. I deposited what I could, guys. I deposited what I could. Then I, was investing in dividend stocks and stuff like this and that. Just a couple, I didn't have that much money in there. So I was like, man, let's see what happens. And I was like, a year later, I was working a job full time. I was like, okay, we need to be more aggressive. We need to actually put some real money in this. So a year later, I took it serious. And here's a picture of me a year later in December 2018 depositing a whole bunch of money. At that time, we had a little bit of correction, so stocks were tanking. I was like, oh, this would be a perfect time to buy, stocks and stuff. And so at that time, I was trading, swing trading UGAs and DGAs at that time. And, still doing my dividends. And then oil took a hit because I think it was like some drone or some bomb or something happened. And so oil went down and I lost like $2,000 in just in one day just because how fast it went down. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I was like, okay, well, that's a sign of me stopped to swing trade. So I stopped swing trading, focus on dividends. And I took all the money I have left over and I switched it to growth plays. So I switched it to Apple. So I started buying Apple at the time. Okay. And so to 2018, 19, I was buying Apple and I was picking up Apple shares. And, I built Apple into a pretty decent size in my portfolio. I think Apple was like probably, I think 40 or 50% of my portfolio diversity. Okay. And then we had my first crash, which was in 2020. And we all know what happened then, the corona. We had the corona happen. And so as you see, here's a picture of my portfolio being 43% down. And like I did, I locked in, threw some money in there, a couple dollars in there. And the money that we threw in there, we made a little bit of profit, bought a little bit more Apple and stuff. And, the market had a fast recovery. And then towards the end of the year, here I am selling my Apple shares because it was my first 2 to 3x multi-bagger. It went through the stock split close around this time and stuff. And so I sold, I think, after the stock split because it had just a major run up. And so when that stock split happened, I sold after the fact. And it was my first, I think, two bagger or 3 bagger, somewhere right around there. For how long I was like, oh my gosh. So guys, that was my first like kind of like a market euphoria happened, like something clicked. It's like, dude, I took out like $8,000. I took out $8,000. I put 5,000 over paying off my Honda at the time that I had a loan on. I paid off all my debt and I had like $2,000 left over in my bank account and I saved all the rest of it, kept it in the stock market and stuff. And I was doing all that stuff and still investing, and my portfolio got bigger and bigger positions. I had probably over like 50 positions, guys. I was way too diversified. Like I only recommend maybe 10 to 15 positions at most. But I got way too diversified. And so while that was happening over the time, here's another picture. On August 30th of 2021, my portfolio reached all-time highs. And it was great. I think I was like 20 something. I don't know, whatever the picture shows at that time. And it was a great time. I was like, oh, we had a major run up. And then all of a sudden, as you see, we started going down. And here's a picture of 2022 crash. Well, within that picture of 2022 crash, I have lost $10,000 in Tattooed Chef because I took my money and realized I was way too diversified, so I trimmed it up and I went 50% in Palantir and I went 50% Tattooed Chef, right? And when the crash happened and everything, when Tattooed Chef went to zero, I had a big realized loss of like 10,000 something dollars, and I was like, oh crap. and then guys, Palantir went from like $20 to $14 to now it was like $6, and I was like, oh my gosh. And it's just like, here I am stomaching that. Kind of gives you a little kind of hurts, right? And I learned a lesson. Portfolio diversity does matter. Now, you don't want to be too overextended, but you don't want to be sticking just to 2 positions either. So that's why I recommend 10 to 15 positions at most and at least. Um, and so I tried to start learning options in 2023. And 2023, in the beginning, I tried to start learning options. It was just too much for me, guys. And I don't think I had the mental capacity just to even sit here and sit down and actually learn options, right? And at that time, I started a new job, and then I got promoted at the job and stuff, and around this time, and um stuff started going great. And then I learned, hey, the 9 to 5 ain't gonna take care of you. And I got pissed off at work, and I came home mad and furious, and I was like, I need to learn options. I gotta learn options, because if I don't, this is gonna be my reality, this 9 to 5. And so I started learning options. I forced myself to learn options in 2024. All right. And so during that time, Palantir started recovering, and Palantir went on a major growth run from I would say 2024 to 2025. And during 2024, I was trading options, and so I think my first month I lost like $200, and I was like, oh man, no. I was like, no, pursue it, keep on pursuing it. And it took me, like, guys, 2 weeks to learn options. Like, I went to work, listened, to videos of people talking about options, and I came home and watched people actually do options, and then I was doing it. So, guys, it takes time. It does take some time, but I did lose like $200, I think, my first trade, and then my second month, I was making 50. I made $50 that month. Next month, I was down $10. And I was like, okay, let me switch to the selling side. And so I switched to the selling side, and I was selling calls, and I was selling puts, and that's when I started making some good money. And then I got towards the end of that year, I was making like $350 a month. Like, I would say August, September, October, November, December, I started making $350 a month. And I was doing that off of margin, guys. I wasn't even using my own money, because I was like, let me have my own money in my long-term investments, and let me, trade with margin. So I took out $10,000 in margin. I was like, oh, dude, I'm actually making really good money, right? And so Palantir, obviously, guys, we sold 200 shares of Palantir for a gain. And then if you watch the last video, we also sold another 200 shares of Palantir. And, my portfolio, it looks like, and then like a rocket just took off, right? And so, yeah, we did get a little bit lucky with Palantir. I ain't gonna lie, we did get a little bit lucky, right? But I took that money, and I started putting all that money to work with options. And so when I sold my first 200 shares of Palantir, and I started doing options, I started putting my own money towards it, right? Now, currently, where we're at this year, I'm making about $1,000 a month, a little bit over $1,000 a month. And so, with that being said, now I'm coming out here and trading my whole entire portfolio, pretty much, practically, almost the majority of it. And so now I'm trading with pretty much my salary every year. And here's another screenshot of year to date, our realized profit and loss. We are in about to be in March. We're currently in March right now, and I already made $40,000 this year. And no matter if the market, if we keep on continuing down this market crash, or if we rebound and go up for newer highs, don't really matter. I'm still going to make that money. But I calculated how much I think I'll get average return for the rest of the year, and I came to the conclusion I'll still be making more money doing options than what I would be at my 9 to 5. And so, for doing options for 2 years, in my second year, I made more money doing options than I did at my 9 to 5. It showed me how realistic this thing is, and how consistent this is, because now we're seeing a little bit of market pullback, and my worry was, can we still make money in the market with the market pullback? And it's like, yeah, sometimes even more. And so I was like, whoa. So that's where we're at currently. We're trading with $40,000, about $50,000 right now currently, making over $1,000 a month with that, which is great. Now, since I told you where we started out from the beginning and where we are presently, let's go to a little bit of the future stuff. So my next goal is, since we reach 50K, is to basically double it. and we're trying to go to 100K because I feel like 100K is when you actually start scaling your portfolio. 10% on $10,000 is $1,000, but 10% on $100,000 is $10,000. So there's a major difference. And what I tell every single one of my one-on-one coaching people that I coach one-on-one, I say, guys, it's not that hard. It just takes 10 doubles, right? That's all it takes, guys, to go from $1,000 to $1 million. And so we go from 1,000 to 2,000. That's 1. 2,000 to 4. 4,000 to 8. 8,000 to 16. 16 to 32,000. 32 to 64. Now my net worth is at 64. Okay. We have what? 4 more doubles left. So 64 to 128,000, 128 to 256, 256 to 512, 512 to what? 1,024,000. The first 7, guys, the first 7, you have to work your butt off. Like what Charlie Munger says, you're going to have to work your butt off to get this first 7 from 1,000 to 128,000. So it's going to take 7 doubles. But when you take 7 doubles just to get from $1,000 to $128,000, you realize you only have 3 left. 3 left to get to $1 million at that point. But the game is to find the doubles. And so when we get to 100K in cash, right? If we do my average of 2% and I average over 2%, but let's just say we're doing 2%, right? What? We are getting 24% a year, right? On average. That's just off premiums. That's not even including, stuff's going around the wheel and stuff, right? So with that being said, and dividends too, that doesn't even include dividends. But on average, we're getting at least 24%. With that being said, though, when you're coming out here and you're getting 24% on $10,000, which is $2,400, versus 24% on 100K, which is $24,000, you see that it's a lot easier to scale, right? And so that's the goal that we're trying to get to currently, 100K. And then once we get to 100K, it becomes a lot easier for us to scale. And then the next goal would be 250K. And then 250K to $500,000. And then $500,000, when we reach that, to go straight to $1 million. All right, because every single pivot point, guys, it's like a new refresher, right? From going to $1,000 to 10, you're like, wow, it's great. And then going from $10,000 to $100,000, it's like, wow, this is even better. And so, but when you go from $100,000 to $1 million, you're like, sensational, right? It's sensational, guys. But guys, that's what we're currently working on. That's what we're doing. Going on the road to 100K here soon. I think it's a beautiful and it's a very beautiful opportunity that God's given me. Shout out to the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. But it's a beautiful opportunity that I am given by God every single day to come out here, and I trade my whole entire salary as going to be currently a 26-year-old, because my birthday is going to be soon, 26-year-old, to sit here and trade my salary every year. And I'm sitting here getting paid money off that every single year. And eventually, projection wise, I have myself, I can retire at 35 if I keep on doing what I'm doing. And what I mean fully retire is like, I'll be making, close to $10,000 a month doing this stuff. That's strictly off of options. You know what I'm saying? And so it's just like, guys, the vision's there. It's possible. You can do it. Options are consistent, right? Everything's possible. You can do it. Options are consistent. Kane, what would you recommend for somebody starting out? I recommend you guys doing options. I know options might seem scary, and I know there's a dogma around options that options are gambling. It's risky. And I'm going to be honest with you. If you're going to come out here and do dumb strategies and you don't have no strategy at all and you're just winging it, YOLOing your money, yes, you that's gambling. But if you come with strategies and you do a little bit of buying strategies and you have a certain buying strategy and you have selling strategies and stuff like this and that, it's actually quite profitable and you actually do make a lot of money with it. But you have to, hedge your stuff. And so I kind of want to go back and talk about Tattooed Chef. Now, the reason why I want to talk about Tattooed Chef is because I lost a lot of money, right? I lost half my portfolio. I lost half my net worth to Tattooed Chef. And that's when I used to watch Financial Education, Jeremy. And that year he had a bad year. I think 4 of his companies went down and got bankrupt. I think Tattoo Chef was one of them. I know Smile Direct Club was another one of them. Voyager Digital was another one of them. I think there might have been one other one that went bankrupt as well. Bankrupt as well. And and then I came to the conclusion like, dude, I need to stop watching these people and I need to start doing my own thesis and everything that I need to do and that I want to do, right? So now, I still watch some YouTubers on some stuff, maybe pretty much people that just do options and stuff just because I'm curious on what they're doing and what plays they're making and stuff. But besides that, guys, all the plays that you see from here on out are strictly my plays, my own theses. Everything from Palantir, I would say, and SoFi, from up. I stopped listening to them guys like Jeremy and Graham and all of them when I lost that Tattooed Chef money. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just like, it's, I don't want to lose that money again. And I started trusting in myself. And I really want you guys to get to that point too, where you come with your own thesis and you start trusting your own intuition and you start trusting the stocks that you feel comfortable holding and that you feel picking, and that you feel like you are good stocks to pick, right? And I don't want you guys to come out here and buy stocks because O'Kane's buying it. I don't want to create that dogma. But if you might agree on a thesis that I come across and I'll be like, look, like maybe a Nike or maybe an AMD or maybe an ELF or maybe if Palantir dips again, or maybe plays that are just easy money or dumb money and stuff, okay, I can see us doing that. But I really want to get into the Tattooed Chef even deeper because with options, I could have mitigated that loss. See, I had, I think, like maybe 500 something shares or 450 shares of, I think, Tattooed Chef at that point, somewhere around there. And I could have sold covered calls on the majority of them shares as the company's dropping, right? Which is reducing my risk, right? And then I could have just hedged against that and just bought a put and be able to sell my shares just in case if it did go to zero. I could have done all that, right? And I realized, man, if I did that and stuff, how much money would I save? Guys, I would have been able to pretty much break even on all of that. I would have been pretty much break even, as in I would have lost $2,000, $3,000 at most, if depending on how much puts I bought or didn't buy. But I could have broke even, could have made some money, maybe lose a little bit of money. But that shows me like, oh wow, I could have used options to hedge. I could have used options to make income to further drive my average cost even lower. And I could have mitigated that whole entire risk. And so that's why even in down times, even when companies, even skeptical companies that might go bankrupt, there are ways to hedge against your portfolio. And I used to think as an investor, like, can you only make money when the stock tanks and you buy low and you sell high, which is true. That is true. But at the same time, you can also make money off of volatility. You can also make money off where you think the underlying stock will be at a certain price, right? You can also make money trying to buy the stock at a cheaper price, and you can make money trying to sell a stock at a higher price than what the stock is right now, which is a covered call or selling puts. You can, and a whole bunch of strategies, and we're going to talk about a double dividend strategy for the next video and stuff for my dividend investors. But guys, the stuff's endless. And so when I came out here and I started learning options, that's why I'm so adamant about options, you know, and with my one-on-one guys that I coach and even people at work, I told this guy at work, I said, if you, I said, brother, if you have 200K right now, and I know he has 200K because he's a extreme saver and he invests a lot of his money ever since a young age, and he's close to retirement. I said, if you have 200K right now, we can be easily getting you way more money than you're making here currently right now, just selling options, and you don't have to worry about it. And he just, it baffles his mind, and it's just like, wow, And guys, so this is real. This is here. We're here. Look at this. Look at all this. We're here. We definitely make money. Please join the Telegram group so you guys see my plays. I do my YouTube videos. I do them on the weekends and stuff. So I can be in and out of a play within a couple weeks or a couple months. And so please join that Telegram group, guys. It's in the description below. Please join it. There's a couple people in here. I just started it not that long ago, so there's not that much people in here. Come discuss stocks with us. Come show us your plays. I share my plays with you, what I'm planning on doing and stuff. So please join that free Telegram group. I am a real human. This is YouTube. I'm not trying to say, oh, join my WhatsApp group or join my Telegram group because I'm a bot. I'm real. I just shared my story with you guys. But guys, please join that group. I think it'll be fascinating to have you here, and I'm welcoming it. It's free, guys. It's free. You pay no money. It's free. It's a free group. Please join. But I'd be honored to have you guys. Thank you for listening to my investment journey. I know it's a long video, guys, but look, I hope that when we reach 100K, we can do another one of these and talk about the journey, how it was from going from 10,000 to 100,000. You know what I'm saying? And talk about a little bit of that story and go actually even more deeper and in detail with that. But with that being said, guys, I love you guys. Thank you for all the love and the support that I've been showing. A lot of you guys have been reaching me out in the DMs. A lot of you guys have been liking and commenting. I appreciate that, guys. I love it. Please subscribe, guys. It costs nothing to like, comment, subscribe. It costs nothing. And I appreciate it. Every time I see a comment, even if it's hate or if it's love, I enjoy it. I enjoy it. I like the interactions that I have with you guys. And, you guys are amazing. And I'm very grateful for every person that watches and likes and comments and subscribes. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. Peace.